Dear friends, today we will discuss a topic that concerns each of us, especially those who have recently lost a loved one. What happens to the soul after it leaves the earthly world? Where does it go during the first year of its new journey? These questions trouble the hearts of people all over the world, regardless of their faith and culture. The loss of a loved one is always a profound shock. We remain here with a heavy feeling of emptiness and numerous questions. It seems that the connection has been broken forever, but is that really the case? Different traditions have their own views on how the soul adapts to its new state, how it bids farewell to the earthly world and begins its path in the other realm. Today, together, we will try to understand what happens to the soul during the first year after physical death, not from the perspective of any specific religion or teaching, but from a universal human understanding and the knowledge passed down from generation to generation by various peoples. For despite the differences in details, all ancient traditions agree on one thing: the soul continues its journey. The first 40 days after a person's departure are considered especially important for the soul. During this time, it is still very closely connected with the earthly world and its loved ones. Just as a newborn needs time to adapt to a new world, the soul also needs a period of adjustment to its new state. In the first days, the soul often remains near its relatives. It seems to try to reassure them, to show that it is fine. This is why many people, in the weeks following the loss of a loved one, feel their invisible presence, a light touch, a familiar scent, or a barely perceptible breath of wind. This is not a figment of imagination, but a genuine attempt by the soul to support its loved ones. During these 40 days, the soul gradually begins to distance itself from the earthly world. It visits places that were dear to it, says goodbye to loved ones, and completes unfinished business. This is a time when the connection between worlds is particularly thin. This is why many cultures have the tradition of commemorating the deceased on the 9th, 20th, and 40th days. During these moments, the soul is particularly receptive to the attention and prayers of the living. After the first 40 days, an important period in the soul's journey begins, a time of awareness and acceptance of its new state. Now that the initial shock of the transition has passed, the soul begins to truly understand what has happened to it. This is like awakening from a long sleep, when clarity and understanding gradually come. During this period, the soul learns to exist in a new reality, one without the usual physical limitations. It begins to perceive the world in a completely different way, free from earthly hustle, material desires, and everyday concerns. Everything that seemed so important in earthly life, social status, material achievements, everyday problems, loses its significance. What truly matters comes to the forefront: love for loved ones, good deeds, and bright memories. This period can be compared to a person moving to another country. At first, everything seems unfamiliar and even frightening, but gradually, the new rules and laws become clear. The soul learns to interact with the surrounding space in a new way, discovering amazing possibilities in the spiritual world. It begins to understand that death is not the end, but merely a transition to a new level of existence. At this time, the soul also reconsiders its earthly path. Like flipping through the book of life, it sees all its actions in their true light, understands their consequences, and draws lessons from lived experiences. This is not a judgment or punishment, but rather a profound understanding and acceptance of its life path. The soul learns to let go of grudges, forgive itself and others, and find peace and harmony in its new state. Even though the soul gradually distances itself from the earthly world, it maintains a special connection with its loved ones. This connection manifests in various ways, most often through dreams. In dreams, when our consciousness is more receptive to the subtle world, the souls of the deceased can communicate with the living. These dreams are especially vivid and realistic, leaving a feeling of an actual encounter. At these moments, souls often convey important messages to their loved ones. This may be a simple, "I'm fine, don't worry," or more specific messages about unfinished business. Sometimes, in these dreams, the deceased appear young and healthy, as if showing that all earthly suffering is behind them. They may smile, hug their loved ones, give advice, or simply be present, offering a sense of peace and protection. Besides dreams, souls can manifest their presence through various signs. This could be an unexpectedly fluttering butterfly, a suddenly lit light bulb, a favorite song playing on the radio at a significant moment, or a randomly found photograph. Many notice that such signs appear precisely when a person especially needs support or is facing an important decision. It is important to understand that such a connection is a natural process based on love and care. However, one should not try to artificially keep the soul in the earthly world with constant calls and tears. This can hinder its natural progress forward. The best way to maintain the connection is through bright memories, good deeds in honor of the deceased, and acceptance that life continues, albeit in a different form. The first year after a person's departure is considered especially significant for the soul. It is a complete cycle during which the soul experiences all seasons, all important dates and events, but in a new quality. Just as the seasons change, the soul goes through different stages of its transformation. Every celebration, every commemorative date of this year becomes a special experience for the soul. Birthdays, family festivities, favorite holidays, all of these are now perceived differently. The soul learns to be an observer rather than an active participant in events. It watches how the lives of its loved ones continue, how they learn to live without the physical presence of a cherished person, how they cope with loss, and find the strength to move forward. Throughout the year, the soul gradually completes all its earthly matters. This happens in various ways, sometimes through dreams, sending important messages to loved ones, sometimes through random encounters with people who can help resolve unfinished issues. There are instances when the soul helps find important documents or recall something significant that requires attention. During this year, a profound transformation occurs. The soul becomes increasingly immersed in the spiritual world, and its connections to the earthly plane grow thinner and more delicate. It is similar to someone moving to a new country, gradually adjusting to a new life, initially constantly thinking about their former home, then recalling it less and less, and finally fully settling into the new place. Yet, love for loved ones and warm memories remain in the heart forever. They simply cease to be a source of pain and become a source of light and wisdom. Anyone can support the soul of a departed loved one, and for this, it is not necessary to be a priest or a medium. The most important thing is the sincerity of our feelings and intentions. The soul is particularly sensitive to the emotional state of the living and the actions performed with a pure heart. One of the most effective ways to provide support is through prayer or meditation, regardless of the form or tradition. The key is a state of inner peace and sincere communication with the departed soul. In these moments, one can mentally talk to the person, say what was left unsaid during their lifetime, ask for forgiveness, or forgive oneself. Souls are highly receptive to such communications and often respond, sending a sense of peace and acceptance. Acts of kindness in memory of the departed are another way to provide support. One can continue the good deeds that the person performed during their lifetime, helping those they helped, caring for what was dear to them. Some create charitable projects in memory of loved ones, while others simply perform acts of kindness, dedicating them to the departed soul. These actions create a special connection between worlds and help the soul feel that their earthly life continues to benefit people. It is also important to maintain the resting place of the person, if there is one. This is not just a tribute to tradition. Such care demonstrates that the memory lives on, that the person is not forgotten. At the same time, these visits should not become a burdensome obligation or a constant source of sorrow. It is better to come with kind thoughts, mentally share good news, and express joy, for souls prefer to see their loved ones happy. Coping with the loss of a loved one is always a challenging journey, and everyone navigates it in their own way. It is essential to remember that there is no right or wrong way to grieve, no set timeline for mourning. Each person needs their own time to learn how to live in a new reality where the cherished person is no longer physically present. In the first year after the loss, it is especially important to be gentle with oneself. There is no need to blame oneself for tears or moments of weakness. Crying is normal. Feeling sad is natural. Grief is like waves. Sometimes it crashes down with immense force, and other times it recedes slightly. Over time, these waves grow quieter, though they never disappear entirely. And that too is normal, because our love for the departed has no expiration date. Gradually, we learn to live anew. We start to notice that we can remember the person without acute pain, that moments of joy and light begin to emerge. This is not a betrayal of the memory of the departed. On the contrary, it is a sign that the emotional wound is beginning to heal. After all, our loved ones, already in another world, wish to see us happy and at peace. Creating new traditions of remembrance helps significantly. For example, planting a tree, starting a memory album, or doing something kind annually in memory of the person. Some find solace in cooking their favorite dish or listening to their favorite music on their birthday. These bright rituals help maintain the connection without sinking into deep sorrow. They remind us that love is stronger than death and that the memory of a person can be a source of light and inspiration. Concluding our conversation about the soul's journey in the first year after departure, it is important to emphasize the most crucial thing. The connection between souls, based on love, never breaks. It simply changes its form, becoming thinner and deeper. Just as radio waves are invisible to the eye, but carry information over great distances, so too does the connection with the souls of our loved ones continue to exist, even if we cannot see it with our physical eyes. Each of us, sooner or later, faces the loss of loved ones. It is part of our life journey, an experience that makes us wiser and more attentive to what truly matters. Through this pain, we learn to value every moment of life, every encounter, every kind word. We begin to understand that life is a wonderful gift that should be lived consciously and with gratitude. If you are currently experiencing the loss of a loved one, remember, you are not alone. Millions of people go through this trial and find the strength to continue living. Your love, your memory, your good deeds in honor of the departed, all of these create an invisible bridge between worlds. The souls of our loved ones continue their journey in a new reality, but they never stop loving and caring for us. Let us remember that death is not the end of the journey, but merely a transition to another level of being. Our loved ones, who have gone before us, pave the way we will one day walk. Meanwhile, as we remain here, let us live each day so that we are not ashamed before those who watch over us from the spiritual world. For the best way to honor our loved ones is to live a meaningful and worthy life. Friends, thank you for spending this time with me. I hope our conversation has helped you find answers to important questions and brought some comfort to those who are currently grieving the loss of a loved one. If you are interested in such topics and want to delve deeper into the spiritual side of our lives, subscribe to the channel. Here, we seek answers together to the most important questions that concern all of us, like share the video with those who might find it helpful, and leave your thoughts and stories in the comments. Until we meet again,